Greetings. I want to play a game. You have exactly 30 seconds to sit down, turn on your listening device, and make yourself comfortable. If you do not do that, you will be forced to listen to another non-entertaining radio program. Your time begins now.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Take it easy. We're the good guys.
Are you ready for a war?
Dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Truth Theorem Radio, our Halloween edition, episode number 1.17. Oh my God!
I like it a lot.
Hey, that was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, this is our special Halloween episode with Kirby Robinson.
Kirby
today.
Robinson.
Ooh, demonologist.
Demonologist.
Spooky.
Do I hear demonologist?
Oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, we did this past episode with Jennifer Arnold.
Yeah, she's the author of On Sacred Ground, A Demon Walks.
That was a neat interview with her. She lived with spirits and demons.
Well,
and
I
was
would not want to
plagued
trade
by
places
stuff
with
for
her
a
for
long
anything.
time. Yeah.
No, and I don't want a Ouija board either.
No.
And Kirby Robinson was the one that helped her exorcise those demons out of her life, and things have been going good ever since.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to speak with him.
Yeah, he seems to know his way around demonology.
Yeah. It's kind of a recurring theme with us this month on Truth Theorem
Well,
Radio.
it is October.
It's our
There you
special
go.
Halloween editions.
All
Last
the
time
spooky stuff.
we spoke with Andrea Perrin.
That's
Wow.
right. She wrote House of Darkness, House of Light.
Yeah, that was a neat interview with her too. Same kind of deal, sort of, a little bit different, but kind of a recurring theme for us this month, isn't it?
Demons, evil spirits, things moving around, bump in the night. Ooh,
Would you guys live in a house with demons?
No.
No,
Would you
no.
like
My
get the hell
parents
out?
did.
Of course,
but
I guess
no.
they follow you, evidently. Apparently,
Well, that's what she said.
how would you get rid of them? I don't know. What would you guys do?
That's the problem. Do you go to a priest? Because, typically that's what you see. You go to a Catholic priest. But if you're not a Catholic, you go to your own whatever person, bishop or whoever you happen to have. Well, what if they can't do it?
Yeah, what do you do?
And what if you're not religious and you're plagued by a demon? Then what do you do?
I don't know. Do demons plague people that are not religious?
I don't know. Do they?
Then
well-
they have mental illness
Yeah.
instead. That's when you're nuts. You're just crazy.
According to Jennifer Arnold, they're there to conquer and destroy.
So they want to pick on the religious people.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, their work's already done.
So if you're not
from
religious, you're safe from demons then.
I don't know.
I think you just call it something else.
Oh,
You're plagued by bad thoughts.
okay.
Because bad thoughts are bad thoughts.
Yeah,
whether
chemical
you're religious
imbalance
or
or something.
Schizophrenia
Huh?
or something, maybe.
not. You have an addiction to something that's uncontrollable, and you don't know why.
Mhm.
Wow, I'm addicted to even cigarettes, alcohol, sex, or any of these kind of addictions that people have every day.
Or stupid addictions like flushing the toilet before you go to the bathroom, or dumb things like that people do.
That's just
You know
a
what I mean?
waste of water.
Wash their
But
hands.
you don't flush the
twice,
toilet before you
or-
go to the bathroom?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're the only one. Are you one of those weird people?
Yeah, I flush it before I go to the bathroom.
You
Why?
really do?
Yeah,
Why?
I like to watch the swirl.
Oh, you have
It's,
something to aim for?
No,
The
it's
middle?
very therapeutic. It's meditating.
It's like I'm in a garden with a fountain and
yeah, I can't afford a fountain.
The
I-
sound-
You guys are freaking me out.
sound
well,
of water.
It's
helps me
Halloween.
urinate.
Oh, no, I don't actually flush the toilet before I go.
From the look on Dale's face, he does not either.
Yeah.
Dale doesn't have a toilet. He's got a little porch off the front deck. There's a bare spot on the lawn, but he tells everybody it's the dog. Sorry, Dale.
He doesn't have a dog. But,
Oh, I know.
Look at that. Dale's got his finger on the mic button. He's like, I'm gonna talk in just a second.
He's going to mute me is what he's going to do. No, Dale's great. He has a bathroom.
Oh, he does?
I assume. I don't know. I've never been in his house.
We just picked him up off the street.
The thing of it, he never invites anybody over there. What does that mean?
The world may never know.
Uh-oh. What is that from? The world may never know.
Dale, he just said it.
I know, but he stole it from somebody. Who'd you steal it from,
No,
Dale?
that's now
How
property.
many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
That's it. Remember the owl that would do the Tootsie Pop commercial? No, you guys don't. Oh, yeah, it's a 70s
I remember that,
commercial.
but I don't remember that from that.
Yeah, it was that.
Yeah.
You remember the Cheeto Bandito, Dale? Hello, Dale?
No, I
No,
don't.
never
Not
mind.
everybody's that
all right.
old.
All right, we'll skip right up past that. That was my school thing. All right, let's move on.
I
to
don't
the-
remember those old radio shows on the tube radio.
Hey, when I was a kid living in Kansas in the mid 70s, early 70s, I used to listen to the radio because that's all I had. And late at night, and I couldn't sleep, I would listen to those old radio shows.
Uh-huh.
And they were incredibly fascinating. And I think that's the first experience I ever had learning about ghosts and the spooky, supernatural stuff.
You had to use your imagination a little more back then.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Better like that, I think.
I think so, too.
Much scarier.
I do
For
too.
sure.
I think psychological thrillers, horror movies, are much better than slasher horror films.
Yeah.
For me
I
personally.
was kind of get into the audio tapes and stuff. Remember way back they used to have books on tape, way back in the day, and you'd listen to them go on a road trip or something and make time fly. And it's kind of an interesting way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because it's not quite like a book. You're not completely relying on your imagination. You're relying on the storyteller
Yes.
a little bit.
But
it's way
there's-
more awesome than
Yeah,
the movie.
you still are relying on your imagination
Yes.
because
Yeah.
Heavily.
and it's going to you're going to relate to it more than sitting down in front of a screen and watching it
Exactly.
because something that you're going to conjure up in your head is scarier to you than anything they can put on the screen.
Oh, exactly.
You know what my parents did on a road trip once? They got the Bible on cassette tape, and they put it on. Now,
Was that a punishment? You guys were naughty?
originally you would think, oh, no, that's a punishment. But guess who was narrating the entire Bible? Charlton Heston. Do you remember who Charlton Heston is?
Yes.
He's that old guy, Western dude.
He's passed away now, but he played.
Wasn't he somebody for the NRA or something?
Yes, he was the president of the NRA.
Oh,
for a
there you
while.
go. See, I know who he
Yes,
is.
he was the
Wow.
president of the Actors Guild as
Ding,
well.
ding,
He-
ding.
but he was also played Moses in the Ten
Oh,
Commandments.
okay, that's right. I remember
Now,
that.
his voice was extremely powerful, and back in the day when he did the Ten Commandments, I mean, he was the man. He was the you
Yes.
know. So when I was a little kid, my parents were so impressed with him that they bought this cassette tape version of the Bible. So we listened to the entire Bible.
That
narrated
trip
by
must
him.
have just flown by.
Surprisingly enough, it did. It really
Wow.
did. Yes, but that's back in the days when you didn't have air conditioning and you put all your kids in the back seat and no seat
yeah.
belts, that kind of stuff.
I can't believe you guys are still alive. No
Oh, my
seatbelts.
God.
Remember riding around in the back of pickup trucks?
Yes.
Yes,
I-
with nothing.
We used to go Clear Lake Palace. It's like 6-hour drive.
On the
to
edge
and
of the-
in the back of a pickup truck the whole way.
Yeah.
And we'd just get no sunscreen, no nothing, because that was all taboo back then. You know,
Yeah.
you wanted to be a lobster,
Sunscreen. That's only if you want a deeper tan.
I was just a
That's
kid,
yeah.
probably 14 or something, back of the truck, baked all the way down there, baked the whole week down there, baked all the way home.
Yeah.
Now that'd get you thrown in prison, probably.
Oh, child abuse.
I went to Hawaii when I was 17 in this youth program called Youth Development Enterprises, and they took us to the beach for the first time. Here's all these white kids from Salt Lake City, Utah, and they put us out on the beach, and I got so burned so bad that I had white blisters, water blisters all over my body that night. And if that were to happen today, they would sue these people.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd all be going, "Oh, you abused my kid," but.
Yeah.
Back in the day, okay, hey, we'll pop a few. They'll harden up later. And by the way, get up at 3 a.m. because you got to pick pineapples.
Yeah, sunburn. Yeah.
Too bad. Sunburn is not an excuse. Back to work.
Well, you know it doesn't come out in the sun? Demons.
Hey, and I'm excited to get to talk to Kirby Robinson.
I think we should do it.
Let's do
get
it.
right
Get him
to
on the
it.
phone.
All right, we'll be right back with Kirby Robinson.
Truth Theorem Radio.
Audible.
Bob? What are you doing?
I'm trying to connect with audible.com.
What? Huh? No, you do.
What?
Why? Don't do it like that.
Well,
why
way?
Why are you trying to connect with audible.com like that?
I'm trying to find a book that I can listen to instead of read.
Oh, okay. Well, there is an Audible button right on our homepage.
A link?
You can click on that, and you can sign up for a free trial and get a free download.
Free?
Yes.
Free is good.
Absolutely.
I like free.
So go to our website. Where's it at?
It is at truththeoremradio.com.
That's good. All right.
And what the hell is that smell? I could have been at a barbecue.
This is so nuts. I mean, listen to what you're saying. It's paranoid delusion. It's really sad.
And we are back.
Okay, we've got Kirby Robinson here.
I am excited. I've been looking forward to this ever since I heard his name.
Absolutely.
This is going to be awesome.
And I've done a lot of research online since we knew we were going to talk to him, and he's probably the most knowledgeable person on a whole variety of subjects that we like to cover. So
absolutely. Kirby, are you with
in
us?
particular, too, Rob, because this is kind of right up your alley, right?
Yeah, I like
Rob?
I like the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, is there an alien involved in this, Kirby?
No, there's no alien.
Oh, thank goodness.
You know,
I'm getting burned out on the aliens.
It's funny that you brought that up, because I've been discussing with someone today, and I'm working on a book on demonology, and I think I'm going to get into this subject. I'm starting to develop my personal opinion that a lot of this alien things has more to do with demonic activity than extraterrestrial activity.
And I've theorized about that myself.
So, but you do find
also
a connection between the two, though.
I do find a connection between the two, because I always have been fascinated by the fact that when you listen to these people's descriptions of aliens, and particularly the gray aliens, there are striking similarities between the descriptions of what they look like and what many demons look like.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And if we can convince, or if the devil, Lucifer, and Satan is a very deadly combined foe.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can convince people that there are forces out there that's greater than man and possibly greater than God, and convince people that it's really not God in charge of things, it's the aliens in charge of things. Because what started me on this was earlier today I was listening to a show that's on AM channels across the country every Monday through Friday nights, and he had a gentleman on there talking about some big conspiracy where the aliens were running the world, and Obama was taking orders from the aliens and everything.
Wow.
And it's almost like they are become the gods, and the God that Christians worship has been almost put onto a second pedestal beneath these aliens. And really, if you study the history of Lucifer, that's what Lucifer sought when he suffered his downfall after the first creation of the earth, but before the second creation of the earth. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to become above God and sitting on the top of the mountain of God and have God sitting at his feet. Just like the aliens are doing, we're above God because we can control the world, and we have all this advanced technology, and we're hidden from public view, and we only choose when we want to be seen. And so to me, I'm really starting to feel that a lot of these stories concerning aliens has more of a demonic influence than what a lot of people want to think about.
Now, could you define what a demon is, and exactly what's the difference between a demon and a spirit or a ghost or an angel?
A demon is simply who is an entity that was once an angel and worshipped God throughout millenniums. And when Lucifer, which was the greatest creation that God ever created, he was perfect in all ways. in beauty and intelligence and wisdom and insight.
Yes.
But when he found out that he was going to be the emissary between the heavens and the earth, that he wasn't going to be a god, he was just going to be a messenger for God to man, and that man was basically going to become far more important to God than the angels. His ego could not handle that. He convinced 1/3 of the angels to rebel against God and led them in a great war in heaven. He lost the war because you got to remember, Lucifer is only an angel. As perfect as creation as he is still only an angel. And an angel cannot know everything like God can. He can't be every place at one time like God can, and he can't create like God can.
I've always had this question though when I've heard this story many times, of course, and I've always had the question: Did not Lucifer realize that he could not win?
No, he has such a great ego.
That's a big ego. That's a huge ego.
That's a huge ego because he thinks he can become God. He is totally convinced that he can become God. So he convinced 1/3. They got in a big war, and they fell to earth. Now, when this happened, there's great conjecture on that. And in my personal opinion, if you're going to become a demonologist, one of the books of the Bible that you really got to know very well is the book of Genesis.
Yes.
Because if you take the first 2 chapters of Genesis, lay them out side by side, when we went to Sunday school as kids, or if you listen to preachers on TV, they basically tell you that Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 tells you the story of the creation of the earth. Well, they're not telling you the whole truth. Because if you lay those 2 stories out and you look at those 2 stories in detail, they don't tell exactly the same story. And if you go back to the original Hebrew text, the verb used for creation in chapter 1 means to create something out of nothing. If you look at the verb for creation in chapter 2, it means something created out of something. And it is my opinion and opinion of a lot of other people out there that there were 2 creations of the earth. The first creation failed for some reason, and I think one of the reasons why it failed was Lucifer fell to the earth with his angels and devastated man so badly that God had to basically scrub the creation and start all over again, which is one of the reasons why people say, well, if there's only angels and demons, then where do shadow people come from? And where do evil spirits come from? I believe that's where some of the evil spirits and shadow people, because once a spirit is created, it cannot be destroyed. So if God turned his back on those entities because they fell because of Lucifer, then they're out there being, evil spirits and the shadow people and that sort of thing. But to make a long story short, a demon is simply a fallen angel.
Okay.
You can't a person can't become a demon. We might sit there and say, well, I think Hitler was a demon, or when Charlie Manson dies, he's a demon. Demons are fallen angels. They're not spirits of human. Demons are so jealous of humans, and this is one of the reasons why they so dearly want to possess a human, because humans get to experience everything that the demon doesn't get to experience, which is love.
Which is love.
So now, wait, do demons experience a physical existence?
Yes, they do feel. They do feel, and that is why one of the reasons why they're such fighters. Demons do not give up easy in battle, because they will suffer punishment if they lose and go back to their masters in the dark side and say, well, I was haunting this house and this demonologist came in. And I should say at this point, it's not my abilities that drive demons out. I give all the credit to the Lord Jesus Christ, because if I'd walk into a battle with a demon and say, I'm telling you to get out, that demon would laugh at me and slap me in the face, because if you read in the New Testament, there's even a story about that where a couple of Jewish brothers decide to cast out demons, and they go battle a demon, and they try to cast the demon out. The demon looks at them and goes, well, I know who Jesus is, because every demon knows who Jesus is. Yeah. Every demon knows the powers of Jesus, and they actually know what's going to come at the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
So the demon looks at the young brother and says, well, I know who Jesus is, and I kind of know who Paul is, because Paul was probably the greatest exorcist after Jesus. But I don't know who the heck you guys are. And the demon basically kicked their butts.
Yes.
Because I have no authority over demons. My authority over demons comes from my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, him being my Savior, and the great commission that he gave his apostles, because we're all apostles of Jesus. And Jesus says, I give you the authority to cast out demons in his name, and that's how I cast out the demons.
Well, do you
in his name.
Do you also recall a story when Christ was teaching and his apostles went out and they came and reported to him that there were other men who were casting out demons in his name, and they were all upset about it. They were like, hey, you didn't tell them they could do that, and they're not in our group. But he told them that because they're using his name and they are believers in him, that they had his authority to do so.
Yeah, because once you accept him as your Savior, you become a disciple of him. And the moment you become a disciple of him, the power that he had transfers to you. Now, that's his power. That's not your power. That's his power. And you call on his power. You call on your faith, because your faith has to be steadfast. And people say, well, don't you get scared when you walk into some of these houses and encounter some of these people that you encounter? And people say, oh, I saw Ghost Adventures, and the guy saw a demon, and he went running down the hallway. I don't get scared, because one thing, if you're going to get into this, the first thing you need to know is, one, you can't show a demon fear. If you show a demon fear, you're giving power to that demon, because you're encouraging that demon to sit there and think, oh, this guy's scared now. We haven't even got into the battle. I'm going to be able to be victorious over him.
Yeah, because showing fear is probably a good sign of that you can manipulate that person.
And also, your faith is weak.
Yeah, you have no faith.
And you have to have faith. And that's the reason why, when your listeners, if they ever need a demonologist, ask that demonologist before they bring him in, are you a believer in Lord Jesus Christ? And if they tell you, well, he was a good teacher, or
a prophet,
something like that, a prophet or something like that, don't have him come into your home, because whatever he's going to do is going to make it a lot worse than what it is. Now, people say, yeah, but I had this guy come to my home, and he wasn't a Christian, and he did some things, and the entity left. Well, it may not have been a demon. I don't go. This is one of the things I tell people. I never go into a case looking to find demons, because if you walk into a case looking to find demons, you're going to find a demon. And the rule that I always operate under is the rule of you eliminate all the probable causes of a haunting or a demonic infestation before you start embracing the word demon. And I think it's just getting to be so popular now in the paranormal field because the term demon sells.
Yes.
Because of the popularity of, paranormal activity 1, 2, and 3 now, and all this demon business. Demons sell, ghosts and poltergeist activity, and maybe psychological issues within the family don't sell as well.
Well, before we get too far into that, I want to go back and ask you this: in other countries and other cultures where they have problems with demons, and they're not Christian cultures, how is it that they are able to cast out demons, or how do they deal with the demon situation?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. There are, because again, I don't want to sound like a Bible thumper, but there's so much involved in demonology that you have to draw from the Bible.
Well, sure.
Well, the demons are afraid of the Bible and they're afraid of Jesus Christ. Then, what can you say? You can't say if they're leaving people's bodies when you command them to in the name of Christ, not in the name of Buddha or Muhammad or anybody else. Then what can you say?
But you see, the Muslim faith, they have demons as well. The Buddhists, especially if you read Tibetan Buddhism, they have demons as well. Demons isn't something that's just restricted to the Christian faith. But if I get called into let's say a Muslim home, and I've been called into Muslim homes that they had demon activity, or what I thought was demon activity. And I said to them, well, now who is Jesus to you? And they said, well, I'm Muslim, so we consider Jesus was a prophet, but, he wasn't the Son of God. I have to say to them, I can't help you. But what I will do is I will find a Muslim minister who has the authority to step in and deal with this demon, the same way with if I walk into a Buddhist family, I'll go out and I'll find a Lama who knows what rites that they do to eliminate demons. Because, see, what a lot of people think is that exorcism started with Jesus Christ. And in reality, the Jewish religion, and again, now if I'd walk into a Jewish home, I don't have any authority in that Jewish home because they don't accept Jesus Christ as their Savior. So a rabbi would have to be brought in.
So how do you explain that, though? How do you explain that that they can use a rabbi and extract a demon from a person, but you're saying that you have to use the name of Jesus Christ to do it?
Because if I work with a person, that person has to be a believer in Christ. If the person is an atheist, I can't help them. But if let's say you have a Jewish family, there are exorcism rites where they don't use the term Jesus to drive the demon out, and it's almost like...
And it works?
Yeah, and it works, because if you read some of the apocryphal literature that's out there, particularly the book of Abraham, and it talks about in the book of Abraham that Abraham performed exorcisms even back then.
I see.
So exorcisms isn't something that started only with Jesus Christ. There were people doing exorcisms long before Christ, but it was almost more of a spiritual battle, my faith against the demon's faith. And I can't call on God because we're living under the law, because Christ came to fulfill the law. So once he came, it wasn't that we had to depend upon the law for our salvation or for our faith. We depend upon him. So the Jewish religion has a very rich tradition of demonology. Now, their demonology is a little bit different than our demonology, because what they believe is that once you get the demon's name, you can take control over that demon. And it even goes so far that some of those Jewish demonologists would actually get demons to go and do their bidding. And there's some people that even have suggested that when Solomon built the temple, he used demons to build the temple because he had a ring. And again, this is in the apocryphal literature, that he had a ring that controlled demons.
Wow!
Because if you read about what happened to Solomon at the end of his reign, it's not a pretty story. The guy at the end was stumbling around like a madman in Jerusalem, and some people say that he had become demonically infested because this idea that you can get demons to do your bidding and there's not going to be a price to pay is a ludicrous idea. It's almost like curses.
He lost the ring.
Yeah, he lost the ring, and it's almost like a curse. And anytime you cast a curse, there's always going to be a price to pay at the end of the curse, and it's not a cheap price. Because I do believe, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you believe in curses and all that?" And absolutely, the Bible talks about it.
The apostles cursed cities many times for not accepting the gospel.
Yeah, because it talks. You shake the dust of your feet as you leave the city, and that's cursing the city.
There's got to be dumb demons too, doesn't there? Because I've heard stories of like really bad demons, and there's the really evil and the high-ranking demons that are really bad. And so that indicates that there's like less evil demons and probably less smart demons, and probably
third
less
of the host of heaven. That's a lot of demons.
Because
all the people
nobody's
been on
ever
the
been
earth.
able to really figure out how many that is.
Yeah, trillions.
How many angels there were? Was it millions? Was it billions? And there is a hierarchy of demons. It goes from foot soldiers to captains, to commanders, to generals. And demons work as a network because, again, they can't be in more place than one place at a time.
That sounds like the army. I don't like the way that sounds. when they were in heaven, though, there was this kind of organization. There was a hierarchy of a general and foot soldiers.
Yeah, and because you think about the archangels, Gabriel, He's the leader. He's the general of the angels, and then as you go down the rankings of the angels.
Well, how would they fight? I've always wondered that. I mean, are we talking about hand-to-hand combat with swords or a spiritual
energy? Yeah, spiritual energy. Because if you ever get into, it's like the Jen Arnold case, and her case, I will say this was one of the most severe cases I have encountered in some time.
And we just talked to her a little while ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And after I left her home, it took me almost 10 days to feel normal again.
Wow.
It felt like somebody had kicked me in every part of my body from the head to the sole of my feet. Mm-hmm. And nothing physical happened to me while I was in it, but it just felt like I had been in one great big fight.
So that was a particularly bad demon then.
Yes, a bad set of demons.
Let's talk about that really quick. If anybody hasn't heard that show, it's episode 1.14, and that's when we talked to her.
It was
Jennifer.
Well, you know what I thought about that is that the demons that they were communicating with, they spent a long time cultivating a relationship with this demon in the beginning as some kind of friendly, isn't this cute, clever, whatever.
And that's a very common trick for a demon to use. And I know we're getting into the holiday season for Halloween. And one of the things that people always pull out during the Halloween season is the Ouija board. And I do not like Ouija boards.
I can
now,
understand.
that does not mean that every time you pull out a Ouija board, you're opening up the gates of hell. I don't want to give that impression. I know there's some Christians out there that say that. I personally don't say that. I just say that unless you really know how to test the spirit, don't play with the Ouija board, because there is always a chance that that little friendly Casper ghost that you get coming to you through the Ouija board isn't a friendly Casper ghost at all. It's an entity that's looking for an invitation. And the worst thing that you could do is that when you start working that board, if a spirit sits there and goes, I'm lonely, or my family's dead, or everybody has moved on but me, can I come and stay in your home? Absolutely stop working that board if that spirit asks you that question. If that spirit asks you that question, absolutely say no. Because the moment you say yes to that spirit, you have given legal authority. It's almost like writing a tenant contract with that demon in your blood, saying to that demon, you have authority to come into my home and to come into my life and do what you want, and until I take back that invitation and close that door permanently, I can bring in the Pope of the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism, and the demon can sit there and laugh at him all day long.
You invited me.
He does not have to leave because he has an invitation.
Well, now, why would they need an invitation? I mean, if they're pretty powerful, obviously. There's quite a few of them that are pretty powerful. Why would they need an invitation to come into your home?
That's the structure of things. It's like Christ can help you, but until you accept Christ, until you ask Christ to come into your heart, there's things that he can't do for you. So everything that Lucifer and demons do is just simply a counterfeit version of what God and Christ does. So if Christ says, to accept me into your heart, invite me into your life, that's a good thing. But when a demon says, invite me into your life, accept me into your home, that's a bad thing. Now, that doesn't mean that a demon can't come into your home and stir things up, but at the same time, he doesn't have a legal authority to be there. So anybody that's a Christian, you don't have to be a demonologist to drive somebody out. If you had that sort of situation, anybody that's a Christian could sit there and say, in the name of Jesus Christ, you have to depart, and that demon would have to depart. Now, he may try to drag his feet, and he may say, I don't want to go, and he may huff, and he may puff and stick out his chest, but he knows he has to go. But the moment they get an invitation, now that invitation can be, like I said, to the Ouija board, it can be practicing the dark arts. It can be casting a curse on somebody, because that opens up a door. It can be, playing with other forms of divination other than the Ouija board, the pendulum, the tarot cards, that sort of thing.
So you don't actually have to consciously say, yes, you can be a part of my life.
No, you don't have to consciously do it. It's just engaging in an act that allows that spirit to come in. If you sit there, it's like I try to tell people, don't use the word damn. And people say, well, why not? Damn's not that bad of a word, and people say it on TV. But damn is a curse.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you say to somebody, damn you, you're cursing that person. That is almost an indirect invitation to an entity to come into your life.
When you're damning someone else?
Yeah.
Oh, when you're the damner, not the damnee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the receiver, it's not going to impact you. But if you're the person doing that, then it's going to, and the more doors that you do open, the more authority you give to demons. And then demons take root, and then they just start bringing in more demons. Here's a safe haven for us. Here's somebody that I can get influence over, and it just grows and grows and grows.
Well, so this
which is what happened to the Jen Arnold case.
So this is my understanding then, that you have free will as a human being on the earth, and there's these demons that are hanging around, and there's all kinds of things that you can say and do that you may or may not be aware of that will draw them to you, and at some point they can possess you. But do you have to be aware that you're doing this? I mean, because it seems almost like a sin that you're drawing a demon into yourself unknowingly.
No, you don't have to really be. That's one of the reasons why I talk to people. People in some of my biographies, I talk about I'm a Christian as well as a Buddhist, because Buddhists teach you mind training to avoid the negative as well as being attached to too many things, to go into the middle path to where you're not thinking negative towards people and you're not holding on to things. It's just like, I don't need to say damn you to that person. I need to say, maybe that person's just having a lousy day. So why pile it on there by damning them and that sort of thing? And it's almost like being conscious of your thoughts and being conscious of your actions.
Well, that's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, and it's not. Yeah. But with the Jen Arnold case, I had came in contact with that about 5 years ago when I had a MySpace page. Now, people may not remember what MySpace was.
Ooh,
MySpace? That was kind of like when people are sitting there going, what's this Facebook?
What's this internet thing?
What's MySpace now, if anybody ever goes over there. Yeah. And she had contacted me a few times about her case. Now, how I operate is I don't charge people because, one, I don't believe that a demonologist should charge people for their services. So I don't sit there and say, I'm going to charge you this much an hour. I simply say, if I can get to your case and if I feel that your case is, there's merits to your case, I'll try to bundle some cases together. And if you can help with my travel expenses, then that will help me get to your case if I can get a group of them. So she contacted me, and one of the rules that I always lived by was that the more a person publicizes a case, the less likely it's real. Because I've never encountered a person that's really suffering from demonic possession, oppression, or severe infestation that ever really wanted to talk about their case, either why it was going on, and particularly after it's over, because 99 and 9/10% of the people who get free from demon activity, a lot of them don't ever remember it. I had a client once that had demonic oppression for 7 years.
Wow.
And once we removed that demon, he could not recall any events that took place for the past 7 years.
Oh, wow.
It was almost like he had suffered amnesia. He didn't know what house he was sitting in. He didn't know what job he had. So
do you think it's possible for a person to be possessed and not know it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very possible.
That sounded just like my college years.
Yeah, and I had a
that
girlfriend.
Sounded just like
I
one
day
remember.
she was psycho.
If a demon is cunning enough,
I'm glad he let go of me.
He can do it without you ever knowing that he's doing it. So when she contacted me, I kind of thought, well, she is really kind of publicizing her case, but I never got around to it for about 5 years. And then finally she contacted me once when I was in Gainesville, Florida, working a case, and I said, well, I'm working a case in Gainesville, Florida, and if the family says it's okay, I'll take a few days to go down to your home in Tampa, and I'll work the case because there was a person wanting to film a TV pilot that was looking for a severe case. And I said, well, I think this might be a severe case. Because I said to Jen, Jen, you know what I do in my blogs. Yeah. If I walk into a case that's being fabricated, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut about it. I'm going to tell the world that I found the case to be fabricated. So I said, if this case is real, I'll come down there. But if it's a fake, I'll publicize it. So she said, it's real, come on down. So I came down with another demonologist by the name of Leon Wilkes. He's located in Georgia. And from the moment I stepped foot into her house, it was full-blown demonic confrontation.
Wow.
And what does that look like?
Of what nature? Yeah.
Explain that.
When I walked into the house, because years ago I worked as a medium and as a tarot card reader, so I had some psychic abilities. And it was like as soon as I opened up that door, every channel that I used to use to channel spirits, I just got these high-pitched voices screaming at me to get out of there, that, they weren't going to leave, that they had authority to be there, and that, I could talk all night if I wanted to, and they wasn't going to go any place, and four-letter words that you could not imagine, just over and over and over again.
Now that does sound like my teenager's party. When I go there, you guys got to leave. You can't make us leave.
So when Jen started to share her story, and everybody that had handled the case, until I walked in the case, I think totally mishandled the case. Not that they were bad people that handled the case before I got there, but they were looking at the simple answers of her demonic activity, because what I found was it had nothing to do with her homes that she lived in, because some people were telling her it was Indian grounds that she lived on and different things like that. And what I had found after a long confrontation with the demons is that she had opened multiple doors throughout her life, starting with when she was 17 years old, her and a girlfriend sitting down and putting together a homemade Ouija board.
Wow.
And starting to interact with a spirit that seemed nice, that seemed like his predictions about the future were accurate. And she kind of allowed him to stay in. And from that point on, it just kept building and building and building and building. And she was opening doors into her life that allowed more demon activity to come in, and people would come in and do an exorcism in her home. The spirits would leave just to placate the person that was doing it to get them out. But as soon as they left, they would come back in because they did the exorcism, but they never closed the doors.
Oh, I mean physically or spiritually?
Well, spiritually. They never spiritually closed the doors, because I had never had a case where I got so much email about a case before I got down there and after I left there, because people were coming to me and saying, oh, well, Jen Arnold's perfectly possessed, and you're never going to get rid of him because perfect possession. Now, let me say something about perfect possession. That is a term that gets thrown around by too many people because a certain para-celebrity used it on his para-reality show once when he was talking about a mentally ill girl that they were performing an exorcism on, that they never had any business ever performing an exorcism on.
Mentally ill.
Yeah. Can I use the person's name or?
No, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Ryan Buell and the IM6 case that was on Paranormal State. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's
I've seen the show
case
before.
of the girl in Quincy, Illinois, who was demonically possessed by multiple demons, and they went there once and they thought they drove the demon out, and they went back a second time and they couldn't drive the demon out. And then Ryan Buell came up with, oh, well, she's perfectly possessed. What perfect possession is when a person embraces the demonic presence so tightly and they hold that demon so dearly that they don't want the demon to leave.
Wow.
They have accepted it. They've turned themselves over to it, and they enjoy it.
It's like addictive behavior. Wow.
Now that's a good question, because you brought up the behavior. People who suffer demonic perfect possession, they abandon all that is good. They will engage in the most outrageous sexual conduct. They will engage in the most outrageous drug and alcohol conduct. They will become very vile and violent individuals. Jen Arnold showed me no signs of that whatsoever, and it is so rare that if you go to the Masters of Exorcism, which is the Catholic Church, and if you study the literature of exorcism in the Catholic Church, they use the term perfect possession, but it is so rare they don't even give you the characteristics of a perfect possession, because it is just so rare. So she was not, perfectly possessed, because she asked me to come to her home to drive it out. If she was perfectly possessed, she would not have asked that. I anointed her with holy water and holy oil. She did not rebel against that whatsoever. She was suffering from what I would consider severe, intense, demonic influences that was starting to verge, if it went on much longer, into possible demonic oppression, then demonic possession, because demonic possession is the rarest of the form. Demonic oppression is the most common of the form. And that's when it's almost like you're depressed, but your depression has a spiritual cause and not a physical cause. You're not happy, but you're not sad. You're feeling good, but you're not feeling good. And this is a warning to people who want to become demonologists. Once you become a demonologist, you open up that door, you yourself, in a way, will become demonically oppressed. And even Bishop Long talked about this a few weeks ago on his show, because it's been 25 years since I had a good night's sleep.
Wow.
You go to bed at night, and you always feel like there's something watching you. You start to go to sleep, and you see shadows moving around, that there's something studying. You go places, and you feel like there's somebody watching me. And you will experience problems in your life that just don't make any sense. It shouldn't happen to you, but it does.
Well, I don't understand. If you're a demon, okay, and there's a lot of demons around. I actually, Kirby, I'm going to your house, and I'm just going to beat the crap out of you daily.
They will, but that's what they try to do. They will discourage you. They will cause you issues that you will sit there and say. To give you an example, on my newest book that's out called Paranormal Teachings, and this actually is odd because this happened right before I went down to take to work the Jen Arnold case. On a Sunday morning, I was working on the book and had finalized the cover the day before. I went to bed and I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to work some more on the book and get it done this weekend, because I had too many cases coming up to drag working on the book any longer. I went to open up the file. The file opened up. The cover of the book had changed to a tombstone with the term Mo Howard on the tombstone. Now, if you read Jen Arnold's book on Sacred Ground of Demon Walks, one of the demons' name in the book, and I hadn't read the book at that point, was last name was Howard.
Oh, that's
okay.
freaky.
Now you want to hear something even eerier?
Yeah.
Later on the day, my editor, who's based in L.A., I'm based in L.A., but I hardly ever get to L.A. because I never get any cases in L.A. I always get cases outside of L.A. My editor in L.A. calls me up and she says, "Did you change the file on the book?" And I go, "No, I didn't change the file on the book." And she says, "Well, I got up to do some more editing on your book, and I opened up the file, and the cover had changed to a tombstone with the term Mo Howard on it."
That's freaky.
Wow. You're kidding.
Now, how is that?
You will,
you
will experience things like this every day, and it's just like it gets to the point like you would say it to other people, and other people go, "How can you live with that?" And it becomes just a normal thing. But people need to know that this is what you're going to experience. And if you have a family your family's going to experience this too, because, if they can't get to you, a demon's going to try to get to your family, because if you're distracted with family issues, you're certainly not going to have a lot of time to be focused on, the going to people's homes and helping people.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how come you don't wake up with like big scratches down your back? And
I do.
Really?
I'm sorry. Wow.
I do. I get scratches in the weirdest places.
Wow.
And people sit there and go, "Boy, you must have a really angry cat."
Yeah.
I go, "I don't have a cat." They go, "Well, look at all those scratches on your arm."
Wow.
And
Maybe you should get an angry cat.
Yeah.
Maybe that would
stop them asking questions. It's my cat.
Well,
Leave
you
me
should
alone.
see what happens when I get around a black cat.
Wow.
But that's a myth. Again, with Halloween coming up, there's so many myths about Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Halloween is not an evil holiday.
Sure.
Actually, the term Halloween is a Catholic term, meaning the evening before All Saints' Day, which is November 1st. So when the celebration of Halloween came, it had nothing to do with ghosts and goblins and things like that. Where that came in is in the 5th century in Ireland, when their summer to winter solstice took place. It fell on October 31st, and that was a day where the veil between the heavens and the earth was so thin that the living could see the dead, and that was kind of the genesis of the Halloween history. So Halloween is not a bad day. If you talk to a witch or somebody like that, they'll tell you Halloween doesn't mean really anything to them. It's a manufactured holiday.
Yeah.
And again, this is where you need to study this kind of stuff, because this is when you can kind of trick people. If they sit there and they go, "Well, Halloween's such an evil holiday. I got these demons around me because of it." No, you don't have any demons around you because of it, because Halloween's not an evil holiday.
Yeah. Well, I would assume that the demons, though, being smart little critters like they are, they could use our fear of Halloween and witches and spirits and whatnot to
and they do. That's
us.
why. And unfortunately, like with, I don't know if you've seen Paranormal Activity 3 yet.
No.
It has the Bloody Mary ritual in it, and it seems like because of that, it's really stirred up interest in Bloody Mary. And if your listeners don't know the story of Bloody Mary, it's been around for years, and it concerns contacting an entity. That if you can get the entity to come to your home, and I don't know why you'd want this entity to come to your home, because if you could get this entity to come to your home, she will scratch your eyes out.
Oh, lovely.
Oh.
Let's try it.
And so you're supposed to stand in a darkened room with a black candle. You can use a white candle, but preferably, they tell in the urban myth stories, a black candle. You're supposed to look into a mirror without blinking and say, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary," anywhere from 300 to 300 times.
Jeez.
It seems like the most standard time is 30 times. And they say that if you do this, then Bloody Mary will come to your home.
Wow.
But you see now, people sit there and go, "Oh, that's a nice little cute story. So what's wrong with my kid going into the bathroom and doing something like that?" Well, a spirit could be, a demon could be floating around.
Oh.
See your little kid sitting there going, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary," and this demon go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to be Bloody Mary," because he's inviting Bloody Mary to come into his home, and I'm going to be Bloody Mary.
Now, Kirby, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Out of all
I sometimes don't know when to shut up.
No, you're okay. Rob has the same problem.
Yeah, I have the same problem. Sorry.
Out of all the cases you investigate, how many are actually demonic?
Okay, very few. Absolutely very few. What you run into, now let me rephrase this. Very rare demonic possession. Very, very rare. Now, more common is demonic oppression. And again, that's just where the demon is oppressing a person. They're not possessing, they just don't want the person to be happy. Then the next most common is what I call demonic infestation, that there's something that's been brought into the house, or there's something that's taken place in the house that allows the demons to come in and infestate it. And it can have, again, it can be Ouija boards, it can be tarot cards, it can be some kind of ritualistic material, that sort of thing. That's more common. And then what I label, which is what I call psychological demons. And a lot of times when things aren't going right in a person's life, they want to blame somebody, and they don't ever want to blame themselves.
Sure.
They want to blame something. And a lot of times you will encounter people who have so much tension, so much anger, so much frustration within their life that it has to manifest itself in some way. So they almost like start subconsciously engaging in poltergeist activity. They make doors slam and things like that, and then the first thing they label is not poltergeist, because that doesn't sound exciting enough. That's a demon.
It's a demon.
And then you fall into just the ghostly activity, and then you just fall into the category that when people sit there and go, well, when I go to bed at night, my bedroom door closes every night. And you ask them, well, have you checked your central air system? Because often your central air kicks on and your door closes. That's not ghosts. That's just part of owning
And
the
my
home.
sprinklers come on at midnight every night.
And again, you talk to people, well, when does the activity happen? Oh, when I go to bed and lay down and I start to fall asleep. Well, there's all kinds of sleep disorders. And so you need to sit down and talk to a person and say, okay, have you ever had sleep disorders? Have you ever had a label of sleep disorders? Well, no, I haven't. Well, maybe you need to go to a sleep center and see if you're going into deep sleep, REM sleep, at such a fast rate, or you're suffering from a deprivation of REM sleep, that you go into REM sleep so fast that you're still in an early stage of sleep, but because you're lacking in REM sleep, you start having these intense dreams, and it seems like demonic. Again, this is one of the things with a lot of alien abduction. Isn't really alien abduction, because one of the most common threads of alien abduction is, oh, it happened to me when I was asleep. It happened to me at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And going to bed,
going to bed. So it's a sleep cyclist. Because what I do when I take a case and decide that I need to go on into a home, because what I try to do is I try to help the client as much as I can before having to make a trip into the home. A lot of times if you teach them to say prayers, if you ask them to go find a local minister to come in and say a blessing over your home, that helps. But if I do step into a house, I sit down with the client and I go through their family history. Do you have a history of psychological disorders? Do you have a history of trouble within the family, substance abuse? What about physical disorders? And if they've never seen a psychologist or psychiatrist, I try to find one that will work with them to see, are they suffering from bipolar, because a person in a manic state mimics a lot of demonic
demonic oppression,
because because if you think about what a manic state is, you can't go to bed, and you can't stop. You got to go. Your mind races. Sometimes you might label that as hearing voices. So, are they suffering from a manic state? Are they suffering from schizophrenia? Are they suffering from a lesser form of schizophrenia, which is called schizotypical? So you want to get a full psychological profile on the person. You want to get a full mental, physical health profile on the person, and then also you go talk to the neighbors. Do you know this person? Are they, do they seem to have troubles? Have you heard any of these things that they claim is happening in their house and things like that? So it's not ever walking in the case expecting, okay, I'm going to pull out my kit and I'm going to pull out my cross and I'm going to pull out my Bible and we're going to go to war, because it is not that common. And if somebody tells you that every case, and I know there's demonologists out there that say, oh, every case I get's a demon case. It doesn't work that way. It works that way if you want to find demons.
Yeah.
But in reality,
have you heard of these guys, the demon doctors? Have you heard of these?
Oh,
I just saw a little bit about them. What is their story?
It's funny that you asked that, because on the Eye on the Paranormal, which is on Eye on the Paranormal Blogspot, which is my current blog series, and I post on it every Wednesday, we've now got guest writers posting Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and we're even going to be getting some more writers to cover Friday and Sunday, and we're going to be publishing articles every day of the week.
Wow.
because I just want to start getting a lot of information out to people. And that's the best way to do it, because I can't post more than one day a week. Ryan Hashberger, which is the paranormal investigator that went in with me and Leon in Jen's house, posted an article just last Monday on the demon doctors. And what these demon doctors claim is that they can come up with an email, a prayer that they can send you through an email that will drive a demon out. They can come up with prayers that if you carry your phone through the house, that they can talk through the phone and it will drive demons out of the house.
How much does that cost?
Yeah.
It's not free.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Somehow I knew that. Somehow I knew that.
I bet they take credit cards.
They can do Skype and carry your laptop around your house, and they can talk. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
Well, how shocking!
And I know what I know. The trick they're playing is that they're going to sit there and go, well, Christ met the centurion when he was traveling, and the centurion said, I have an ill person in my home. Can you heal that person? And Christ said, I'll come and heal that person. And the centurion says, no, you can stand there and you can command that person to be healed, because I am a centurion and I command this person to go, and they go. I command this person to come, and they come. Yes. You're the Son of God. You can do just the same. And Christ said, I haven't found such a faith in Israel as I find in this man, and the person is healed, and the centurion went home, and the person is healed. Well, first of all, Christ did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the Great Commission, did Christ give them that power in the Great Commission? Did Christ say, okay, now you can stand in Israel, think about London, and think about a house in London, and a person's over there is possessed just because you're thinking about it and you're saying a prayer that the person has to leave? No.
I see.
And it does not work that way. It has to be a confrontation. It's because there's an energy that exchanged between you and that entity that you're battling with. Because the thing is, you can't lose. You don't lose a battle. When you walk in, you're in that house until the battle is won.
Oh.
You don't walk away. When I take a case, and I've had cases, I had a case once in Vicksburg, Mississippi a few years ago, where it went on for 6 months.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Now, how much time a day did you have to spend?
And we were at it 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 6 months.
Holy
cow.
And because I knew if I would leave, because here's the thing. See, demons, it's almost like, and I almost hate to use this analogy because I know one of my enemies is going to bat me over the head with it, but it's like boxing rankings. And you go out and you become an amateur boxer and you move up through the rankings and you become 12-0 with 10 knockouts, and you suddenly become 20-0 with 18 knockouts, and your ranking keeps climbing. Every victory that a demon has, his rankings keep climbing. And as they climb, he moves up to that rankings of principalities and powers. He comes up to the rankings. He becomes more powerful. He gets more demons assigned to him under his authority. And so you don't lose battles to a demon because you just make that demon stronger. And then when you walk into your next battle with a demon, that demon's going to go, well, I think I can beat you because you lost that last battle. So you don't lose battles. You don't leave a client hanging. Once you step in, because I never saw a story in the Bible where Christ said, okay, I'll do an exorcism on you on Monday and Tuesday, and if it doesn't work, sorry, I'll be back in 6 months, and we'll pick it back up where we left it. You don't do that. So once you walk into that battle is on until it's over. And that's one of the reasons why, in some ways, the paranormal world does not blend itself very well to parareality TV. And I think this is where a lot of parareality TV sometimes get in trouble, because you can't wrap a case up in 4 days sometimes.
Yeah, true. And plus, you're dealing with networks. And I don't care how sincere all the people on the show are, and they all believe what they believe. I know there's some guy in the background going, we got to make this interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We got to make it good, make it shine, make it shine.
Because you guys know, because you guys been on ghost hunts yourself.
Yeah.
And you may go to a place, and I've had cases where I was on the verge of saying to the client, there's nothing in this house. And 5 minutes before I'm ready to pack up and leave, something starts to happen. And you can go on a ghost hunt and sit there 12 hours nothing,
Yeah.
and you're getting ready to walk out the door, and something happens. But that's the same way with dealing with demons. A lot of times you can sit there and say, well, it's not. It may take 8 hours. It may take 12 hours. It may take 12 days. It may take 12 weeks. So, but the producer doesn't want to film that long. He wants to film 4 days and go on to the next case.
Wrap it up. Well, what this brings me to the point that it seems like this demonology and interest in spirits and vampires and werewolves and all kinds of interesting things like this. It's a pop culture thing. But it's expanding. It seems like in the Dark Ages, everybody believed in magic and wizards and ghosts and goblins. And then we came into the Age of Reason where that all kind of went away. And now our pop culture is dragging us back into the world of magic and goblins and demons and things. Mm-hmm. Is the pop culture, is it feeding the demons?
Yeah, I think it does, because you have, if you look at what's popular out there today, you have the Myers books about the teenage girl and all the vampires and the werewolves. You have True Blood, which I enjoy, and I'm going to admit it. And if you watch True Blood, they had that great scene of the fake exorcist. The guy came in his house with the wife, and she saged the corners, and he sang some gospel songs, and the demon's gone.
Yeah.
and the demon was still there. But I just thought that was a great portrayal of fake exorcism, because that's how I've heard some people that claim to do exorcism do it, by singing some gospel tunes and saging, and then they walk out and it's done. So yeah, I think, and then plus the fact that you think of all the video games like Resident Evil and all the zombie lore, and Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead, 28 Days Later. And also I think it has to do with, we live in such uncertain times that people are sitting there wanting to blame something for these uncertain times, or they're feeling unsure about things. And also I think a thing that has to do with it is that, we are approaching the 1 year mark to the countdown of December 12th, 2012.
End of the world.
Or December 21st, 2012, which is supposed to be the end of the world. And I try to tell people, don't get excited about it, because the only thing that's going to happen December 21st, 2012, you're going to find yourself in line at Kmart, thinking you could be in a lot better places than standing in Kmart buying Christmas gifts. So nothing bad is going to happen. And I also say this: the next time you go to a paranormal convention, or you're listening to some paranormal show with some guy on there or some gal that's hawking a book about 2012 or DVD, or convincing you to spend $350 to go to a conference, contact that person and say, look, I'll buy your DVD, I'll buy your book, I'll go to your convention, but what I want out of you is a money-back guarantee. That if December 22nd comes along and none of this crap has happened, I get my money back.
I send my receipt in.
I'll even give you your book back.
And I will guarantee you not one of them will do it, because they know nothing's going to happen.
Right,
the world was supposed to have ended on October 21st. The rapture was supposed to have taken place. And, we're still here.
I don't think it did.
I think we missed that.
No, it didn't happen. They left me behind.
Well, all right. I read some more things about you, and some of the stuff said that you have a lot of information about Bible secrets and secrets about the life of Christ, or secrets about Jesus. And I'm very curious about those.
Okay, well,
what are some of those that you could share?
I'm a strong believer that Christ did not stay in the Middle East. I believe that when he and even the apocryphal literature, and when I talk about apocryphal literature, one of things that upsets some of my Christian brethren, they say, well, you're talking about things that aren't in the Bible, and
out of the canon.
And you're trying to add to the gospel. When I read the Bible, that is the sacred word of the Lord. But also I know that man has free will, and it seems like pretty much everything God has put man in charge with, he's pretty much screwed up.
That's beautiful. Okay.
So I believe that there are things that were to be in the Bible that were left out. There were teachings that were supposed to be in the Bible that was edited because it was politically correct at the time to edit. So I turn to what is called the apocryphal literature of both the New Testament and the Old Testament. And I read those books, but I don't put them on the same tier as the sacred as the sacred text. But if you read a lot of those books, they talk about Christ going into Egypt as a child and even performing exorcisms when he was a child in Egypt and his life in Egypt and his journeys in Egypt. And then we come to his being 12 years old and the Bible being silent from age 12 to age 30. Now, I don't think Christ was sitting in Israel on his back looking at the sun. I think he was traveling.
Yeah. He was making furniture with his dad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They had a furniture
I think
business.
he was traveling to Tibet because there are sacred texts that have been found in Tibet that talk about a great teacher that came from the Middle East, that studied underneath the great masters, and then he went back because if you look at the Buddhist teachings and the Christian teachings, there's a lot that's very similar between the two of those. So I'm a strong believer in that. And again, reading the book of Genesis, there's a lot of mysteries in that book of Genesis, going from chapter, I said, the two creations. It's in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now, you never ever hear a Bible minister talking about that because it opens up some doors, and it opens up doors that, a lot of people are uncomfortable about opening because we have become we've gone away from the gospel of Christ, and we've embraced a Christian psychology to where, you go to listen to some of these TV ministers and they say, I'm going to teach you how to make every day a Friday. Well, I don't think Christ ever stood up and gave a gospel.
Can it be Saturday? Because I work on Friday.
So I think we're getting so far away from the true teaching of Christ. And again, if you read a lot of this apocryphal literature, you really start seeing things in a whole different light, that you really start understanding that, yes, there is a conflict between good versus evil that started not only in the Garden of Eden, but before Garden of Eden. Because if you look at the teachings or what the Adam and Eve was tempted with, was almost this myth that almost rules the New Age today, which is man can become gods. Yeah. Man cannot become gods. I am a man. I'm not.
Hello?
Who?
Ooh. That was weird.
Are you there?
You just drifted away from us for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, when you said man cannot be God, it went
now this is odd because I was on another show, another radio show the other night, and it was almost on the same subject too. And when I was talking about it, the curtain in the window across the room from me opened up.
Wow.
So,
well,
somebody must not like me when I talk about
that. They don't like that subject.
And you happen to be talking to us, and we are located in Utah, which is we're
the closest to God,
Mormon capital of the United States and the world, and it's part of the Mormon dogma that the Mormons, who are the elite Mormons, will eventually become gods. That is the premise of their religion. I mean, that's what you do. That's the primary goal.
And again, this is something that if you're interested in the field of demonology, you need to sit down and study the different religions, the Mormons and their beliefs, and that gets to be a very complicated subject.
You're a diplomat. Because
it really is, because it gets to be very complex because they have a council of gods, and they teach about Lucifer, and that Lucifer could have been the Savior, but Lucifer and Jesus fought it out in front of the council of gods, and the gods picked Christ to become the Savior. It's and then of course the golden plates and Joseph Smith and all that business and everything. So it gets to be a very complicated thing. But you see, if you're going to get involved in demonology, you need to study this because you may get called into a Mormon home. And you can get some really weird cases with those guys because they have a very, I don't want to say I don't want to
unconventional view.
Unconventional, that's a good term. Unconventional. I'll go with that. A very unconventional set of beliefs.
Exactly. Wow.
So there's all these demon, 1/3 the cast of heaven down. So millions or billions of demons down here on Earth. What are they all doing? What's their agenda? What are they? Why don't they all get over and take over the world? How come they don't seem to be doing a whole lot other
Not
than
very
just
well
here and there?
organized?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, but you see, if you think about it, you look at the world today. And again, I'm not a believer I believe in the end times, but I do not believe that we are in the end times yet. And the two reasons why I believe that is Google a map of Israel, of ancient Israel, and look at the map of ancient Israel and look at the Israel today. And the Israel today is nothing but a shadow of ancient Israel. And I think when God recreates Israel, he's not going to recreate something that's a shadow of his original creation. He's going to create the Israel of old once again.
Oh,
and the second thing is that there has to be, with the false prophet and the Antichrist, there's going to be a one world religion. And if you know the Muslim faith, the Muslims are not going to abandon their religion for a one world religion unless that one world religion is the Muslim religion. But I don't believe that to be a fact, because how many Mormons would convert to a Muslim religion? It wouldn't happen.
Not very many.
So I just don't think we're close to end times. But the demons, they may appear not to be organized, but look at what's going on in the world today. You got turmoil in Libya. You got turmoil in Egypt. You got turmoil in Israel. You've got turmoil in Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan. You've got the big earthquake in Turkey and Japan. And so it does seem like that there is, may not appear to be organized, but there is an organization of what they're doing, because every time these huge catastrophes happen, what's the one thing that people always say?
It was God's will,
yeah. Well, no, it's God's will. But if there was a loving God in heaven,
why would they
let these things happen? And see, what a lot of people need to realize is that, again, you go back to the Bible, when Adam and Eve fell, what did God say? Basically, that Lucifer was in charge of this world.
Yeah. Is this part of the 1,000 years that he's loose?
Yeah, and we don't know exactly how to read those 1,000 years, but this is his world. This is his, this is for him to be in charge in, and God lets him, go pretty much as he wants to a point, and then God will put his foot down, or you can ask God to put his foot down, and God will. So this is his world, really, and he's in charge of it. Now, I do have a controversial opinion about Lucifer, Satan, and the devil that some people don't hold, but I personally hold. I believe that Lucifer, Satan, and the devil are three separate entities and not one.
Oh. Well, that's kind of the reverse trinity of the...
Because I'll tell you why. An angel can't be in more than one place at a time.
Oh.
So how can Lucifer, because Lucifer has access to heaven, because he is the accuser to God constantly. And if you read the Bible, it talks about how he stands in the court of God constantly accusing man of every single error that he commits.
Yeah.
So how can he be in the heavens doing that? And then how can he be on earth running the earth? And then how can he be in hell running hell all at the same time when he can't be in more than one place at a time?
Yeah.
I believe that Lucifer is Lucifer. His goal is to rule the heavens.
But
Satan,
being in one place and more than one place at one time has been accomplished through television. I mean, just in that kind of medium, in our simple way. Maybe he has a way to do this.
Spiritual cable system.
Yes, exactly. And they get better movies and much clearer channels than we do now. I'm sure.
That might be that. So I believe that Lucifer, his goal is he wants to return to heaven, and he wants to drive God off the throne.
How could he not know that he can't win? That's what I don't understand. How can he not know?
He can't win. He cannot win. This person has such an ego that he thinks he could win.
Gosh.
And because he thinks he can win, that he thinks that the guarantee at the end is not set in stone, that just maybe if he's tricky enough and maybe if he's consistent enough that he can win. Satan is an ancient god who wants to rule the earth, and the devil is the ruler of the dead. Because you got to remember, death is a state, because what did Christ say when he came and started to do his teachings? He says, I've come here to give you victory over what?
Death.
Death, because when a Christian dies, when we take our last breath here, the next breath, or the next spiritual breath that we take is in heaven. We do not experience death like a non-believer experiences. And that's one of where I believe that ghosts come from, are people who did not go to heaven and for some reason have not gone to hell, and they're stuck almost like in a purgatory here on earth, because, you cannot convince me that when we encounter a ghost in some dark, deep basement in a corner, that ghost really wants to be there. Now, you cannot convince me that a person could come to me and say, Kirby, where do you want to spend eternity? Oh, I want to stand in that dark, deep corner in that basement where no light ever comes, and I'll just stand there for that occasional ghost hunter to come by, and I'll make an orb just when he walks by. And then it'll be another 100 years before somebody walks by me again.
It always seems like, too, that they are always stuck there in that moment, like they relive that same little portion of time over and over and over again.
But if I was a ghost, I would want to get out of that basement and at least go sit on a park bench.
For sure.
Something.
Yeah. Go fishing or something. Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, why always be in the dark, dreary places? And that's one of the things I try to tell people. You don't have to ghost hunt at night. Ghosts are there in the daytime. Ghosts are there, go ghost hunting in the daytime, and you might be surprised what you pick up. And you might pick up even more activity than what you pick up at night. But the reason why people like to do it at night is it's scary.
Yeah. Well, it eliminates a few more variables too sometimes. It's a little quieter.
So Kirby, is it possible for a person who may feel that they are possessed by a demon, is it possible for them to drive out the demon themselves?
If it's in an early stage, that it's not really advanced, if a person can go take communion and have hands laid on them, then I believe that the demon can be driven out without going through the full-blown exorcisms. And again, I think that's another term that, unfortunately, Protestants and Catholics use that term in a different fashion, because the Catholic Church has been the masters of exorcisms. They have a whole training center in Rome that you can go to if you're a priest, that will train you in all the aspects of demonology and exorcisms and that sort of thing. And they have a set rite, when in reality they have two rites. They have the short rite and they have the long rite.
The short version?
Well, yeah, there's a very short version. Nice. And it's very important that we make that distinction, because a lot of people are running around doing the long rite, which would take you over 2 hours to do. And in the rite, it says this rite is not to be formed by a lay person. It's only to be formed by an ordained priest.
Wow.
So if you know of demonologists that are out there running around, and I'm talking about Catholic demonologists as well as Christian demonologists, and even in deliverance ministries, there are people running around doing the long rite, and they have no spiritual authority to do it. And that was one of the weird things about the Jen Arnold case, is that one of the demons that were there, it kept saying to me, I want you to do the long rite. I want the long rite. I'll leave if you do the long rite. The moment you do the long rite, I will leave. And I don't have the spiritual authority to do it. So what I did was, I looked at my manual that I take with me, and I strung a whole bunch of prayers along with the short rite, and it convinced the demon that it was the long rite.
Wow. It keeps bringing me back to this thought that there is this whole, like a rule book in the spiritual world that we're not privy to. And the demons know all the rules, and some of the demon exorcists like yourself, you know some of the rules, but the rest of us don't have any idea.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. And because I just don't think everybody needs to go out there trying to cast demons out.
I hear you. Now walk us through. If you go to a case and you go, okay, we have to do an exorcism. Walk us through an exorcism. What is that?
Yeah, what's that like? Is it like on TV?
It's very close to, I don't like to compare reality to TV or into feature films, but I still think the two best films on exorcism, well, there's actually three great films that I'd recommend people to watch.
Good
one, of course, is The Exorcist.
Yes.
And that is as close as, from a Catholic perspective, about preparing to do an exorcism. Because a person just doesn't walk in. It's not like somebody called me up on the phone Tuesday morning, and if it's somebody that I really trust that sits there and says, Kirby, I've got a case that a person is demonically possessed, and I just don't think I'm qualified to get it out. Can you come to the home Wednesday and do it? It's not something that I can sit there and go, okay, I'll be at the home Wednesday and we'll start it then. The person getting ready to perform the exorcism has to get themselves in what we call a state of peace, a state of grace, where you do a lot of praying, a lot of prayers, a lot of meditation. You go do a full confession, and I'm just not talking about sins that you committed last week. You go through your whole life and try to think of every sin.
That would take a while. That's a lot of prep time.
Yeah, for me.
That'd be a week just for that for me.
Because I do a lot of things I shouldn't be doing.
When I was 10.
And you got to go through that, and you got to fast. You got to cleanse your body of a lot of the toxins that you get from food, because remember, Christ said that there are some demons that you have to pray and fast before you can cast out. So it's just not something that you can just run right in and do. If it's a severe case, you've got to get yourself in that state of grace, that state of purity. And then once you get to the home, you just don't go running into the house and go, okay, now we're going to go into battle. What I try to do is I go through the house and I'll bless the house. I'll bless every single room of the house. I'll anoint the property with holy water and holy oil. And what I do is then I seal the home, so if there's something out there that wants to come in to add to the battle, it can't do it.
I see.
And it can also hold the demon in the house, because a lot of times demons will flee if they know that a battle's coming, because they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose in the end. They just want to put up as big of a battle. And then what I do myself, since I'm not a Catholic priest and I can't do the long rite, what I do is I take the entity through a whole lot of teachings on my person that I serve is a victorious God. He's a God that can create things. He's a God of love. He's a God of healing. He's a God of teaching. He's a God of love and compassion. While on the other hand, the entity that you serve is a fallen entity that can't create, is not of love, is not of compassion, and he's only the father of lies. And I use prayers and I cast the spirit out in the name of Jesus Christ. Now, I may have to say, I cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ 1,000 times to get it to go, but if that's what it takes, that's what I do. Now, I will do the short rite, because in the Catholic ritual, it says that the short rite can be performed by lay people as well as priests. Now, there's one section that if it's decided by a lay person, we can't say, but that's only one section of the rite. So I will use that, but I will not use the long rite, because I do not have the spiritual authority to use the long rite. And again, if there's anybody that you know that's out there doing the long rite, you need to tell them to stop it, because at some place there's going to be spiritual consequences for engaging in that behavior.
You know, there's something else I wanted to ask you about also. I've always wondered about people who say that they sell their soul to the devil.
That can be done. That can be.
I've always thought that if a person were just to make that announcement that I'm willing to sell my soul to the devil, you've already done it. You're not going to get anything for it, though. There's no exchange except for now you just invited Satan into your life.
You know, and it's almost like that old blues singer that down in not Elvis, but that other blues singer long before Elvis that went down to the crossroads and he sold his soul to the devil, and he couldn't. And it said that 24 hours before he did that, he couldn't sing and he couldn't play the guitar.
Yes.
And then he came back from the crossroads and he could sing and he could play the guitar. Yes, you can sell your soul to the devil because your soul belongs to you and you have free will. God has given us free will. You can choose to give it to God, and if you give it to God, there's no conditions or, all God says is accept me within your heart, confess me with your tongue, and when you come up to the heavens, I will confess you to to God. That's all He says. Now, on the other hand, the guy downstairs, if you sit there and say, I would sell my soul for some fame, yes, he will get that fame. He will honor that contract. But see, fame is fleeting. Success is short term. And
except for the Rolling Stones, they've been able to continue the contract for quite some time.
It seems like they don't know when to quit.
Oh my God!
And I think somebody needs to get them some genetic engineering studies. They really must have done something someplace.
If you see Mick Jagger perform, you're like, oh my gosh, he's the exact same show he did 30 years ago. He has the same energy, everything.
And if I tried to move like that at my age, I'd have to be a car.
Well, there you go. So wow.
So yeah, you can't sell your soul to the devil. There's or to a demon, and in a sense, that's what a curse is. A curse is you're selling your soul. Now they don't tell you that when you cast the curse, that's the price that you're going to pay. But that's the price that pretty much you're going to pay for the curse is you're selling your soul.
Wow. And what exactly is the soul worth, do you think?
Are there lease options?
What's the going rate nowadays?
No trade-ins, and no 7-day return policy.
Should I ask for $1 million or $10 million?
Can I sell my wife's soul? Is that possible? Can I sell her on the side? She doesn't know. Does she have to be a signer? I don't know how that works.
That I'm not sure about. I don't know if you can sell it without the person
without her knowing about it.
Now but that is a good question. I'd have to study that one because that is a good question. Can you sell somebody else's soul?
I also thought if you try to sell your soul to the devil, he would tell you, okay, I'll make you a super rock star. All your hair will grow back. All these things will happen to you. And I signed the contract, and then he goes, oh, by the way, do you remember I'm also the Prince of Lies, and I just lied to you, but thanks anyway.
And I've heard stories of that. People sit there and go, well, I did that, and I got $100 the next day.
Jeez,
that's awesome. I hope it was worth it.
Wow.
He's fulfilled it, and so but again, that's not a permanent thing because God can step in and revoke that contract and pull you back from the edge.
Wow, that's great. I really like the fact that you are upfront about your Christianity and talking about it, because I find that a lot of people that we talk to, they seem a little shy about, saying what powers they use or what guidance they use.
Well, you see,
I don't
now,
think they should be.
if I would encounter somebody like that, I would turn around and run for the hills.
Yeah.
Because if you encounter somebody like that, and I know there's some well-known demonologists, and I'm not going to start naming names because that's not that kind of show. I'll do that now in the paranormal, but I won't do it on your show.
Oh, well, okay.
So you guys, because I get the death threats, so I can handle the death threats. So I don't want to have anybody else. You won't believe the death threats I get on a daily basis.
Wow.
Because I pick on para-celebrities, and there's really this para-celebrity worship going on, and I get you don't want to know what I've been told to do so many times. So,
or where to put it, or
where to put it, or what to eat, but anyway. But if I encounter a demonologist who will not publicly confess that he's a follower of Christ and Christ is his Savior, I would not have anything to do with that person because they are not legitimate. Because this is where I get in trouble, because people sit there and say, "Oh, so you're saying only a Christian can do this and an atheist can't?" Yes, I am.
Yeah, yes, I am. That's good.
Yes, I am.
I'm glad
because
you stand your
have
ground.
No authority over the demon to cast him out. An atheist has no authority. first of all, he doesn't believe in God, so how can he believe in demons and angels? So how can he cast out that authority? A non-believer, if he's a non-believer, he can become a believer, but if he's a non-believer, what authority does he have over a demon, because he can't even believe in God and take that simple step of confession and of acceptance? You know, now I'm not even going to the born-again route, because really, if you read the Great Commission, the guys were sent out before the born-again situation took place. And I say guys, women can be demonologists. I know there's some people out there that said only men can be demonologists. A woman can be a demonologist as well as a man.
Who knows the demons better than women?
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
They mimic their behavior.
Yeah, they're quite in touch with them. Once a month. We had this conversation off mic earlier about the once a month demonology possession thing. But,
so we mentioned one of your books, and another one was the Paranormal Teachings, and that was about the Paranormal State TV show.
Okay, no,
on
Paranormal Teachings is my book, because when I did Paranormal Reality, Investigating Paranormal State, a lot of people said, the only pony that I can ride is going out criticizing reality television. So when I got that criticism, I said, I ought to sit down and I ought to write a book about the paranormal. So what I did was I sit down and I took a lot of blogs that I'd written in the past for my current blog series, I Am the Paranormal, and some other blogs that I'd written before then, and paranormal, some other paranormal teachings that I've done, and I combined them into one book. And so this is a book on my philosophy about a lot of subjects within the paranormal. We don't only talk about demonology and demons and angels. We talk about the New Age movement. We talk about angelology. We talk about the power of prayers and the different kinds of prayers that you can use for different situations.
I saw that word for the first time, angelology. I didn't know that. Is this a word that you coined or has been coined before?
No, it's a legitimate term, and you can actually get a degree in that from online universities.
Wow.
The study of angels and the history of angels and what different angels do. It's almost as complex as the study of demonology.
Wow.
And there are people out there who study only angels. So I talk a little bit about that. I talk about the Ouija board, and we talk about all kinds of different subjects, and we even have some non-paranormal subjects brought up in there. We talk about the Casey Anthony case and the karma of the Casey Anthony case. We talk about the connection between Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. There's a spiritual connection between the two because their lives paralleled each other. We also talk about my incident at the Sharon Tate grave when I went to see the Sharon Tate grave and encountered a demon at her grave. And luckily I had a photographer there and was taking pictures of when I laid my hand on her grave, and she just happened to snap a shot just as I was doing that, and she didn't know what was happening, because as soon as I put my hand on the marker of her grave at a cemetery in Culver City, I just felt this really severe demonic presence. And my photographer friend snapped a shot, and it's in the book, and it's one of the most eeriest pictures you will ever see, and it almost looks like the gate of hell opening.
Wow.
Oh, my God. I thought you were going to say Charles Manson. And I was like, oh, no.
I thought you were going to say Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
I wasn't that
one of those
far
Charlies is involved.
we talk about all kinds of things in that book. And in my first book, Paranormal Reality, Investigating Paranormal State, what I do with that book is I break down the show from episode 1 to the very last episode, and I show where things were faked within the show. I show how scenes were staged and how scenes were edited to make you think something was going on that wasn't going on. And we had all kinds of on-set sources. And about 4 weeks ago, so I can say this in public because she came out and said it on her show, Shannon Sylvia was one of my inside sources about things that were being faked on her episode of the show. So we just basically debunk the show, and we show how, like the I Am 6 episodes were faked and they wasn't real, and the girl was suffering from mental illnesses. So it's a really condemnation of parareality TV. Now, people ask me, well, does that mean that I hate all paranormal reality TV? Well, my people who criticize me better sit down, because right now there's not a parareality show that I can really criticize that's on TV.
Oh, really?
I find the show that's on TV right now to be pretty acceptable. There's one show called The Dead Files. I had some criticisms of that, and the host of the show contacted me, and we had a very nice exchange in emails between the two of us. So she came out and explained things. So Dead Files, I'm not upset with. The Paranormal Files, Truth of Fiction, I think that's a very good show. Paranormal Witness, I think that's a good show.
Now these shows care about what you think, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I think they do. Some of these people contact me off because they don't want to contact me in person. But some of these shows do contact me in private and say, "Thank you for liking our show."
For not tearing us apart. Yes.
I wrote John Zaffis, and I said, I don't really have that much to criticize your show about.
I was like, oh, thank God.
And he wrote that.
Thank God.
You read my email.
Yeah.
he said, thank God you like it.
Yeah.
And now Ghost Adventurers, it's just not my cup of tea, because I just don't get into that, Because this is one thing, and people criticize me for saying this, I've never encountered a place where if somebody would ask me to clean it, I could not clean it. There's no place out there that is so demonically infested that it could not be cleansed. Now, I'm not saying it can be cleansed in just a few hours. It may take several days, but it can be cleansed. So when Zach and all his people go to some of these places, I'm really amazed about how they act when they encounter a demon, because to me, if they would act like that around a real demon, they would really be opening doors of difficulties that never seem to manifest after they do their little stick. And, of course, ghost hunters, but you see, that show doesn't claim to help people. That show is just a couple of guys who used to be plumbers, who struck it rich, and they just go around to these famous places. They do the little ghost hunting, and then they go home. That is not offensive to me. The shows that got me upset were shows that were sitting there saying, we're helping people, when in reality they never helped anyone.
Well, see, like you said, I've been doing paranormal investigations, ghost investigations, since 2003, and I don't watch any of these shows because I can't take it. I know that you could probably put one good episode together, a half-hour episode, of all the investigations I've been on. And so when I sit and watch, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's possible.
Your investigations are boring.
But really,
you're in the wrong places.
Yeah, you got no soundtrack. You don't have any special effects.
But I can't watch them. I just think, what? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But again, the shows that, because people think, I'm against ghost hunters. I have nothing against ghost hunters. If you want to go to graveyards and old houses and look for ghosts, all the power to you. I just get worried about when paranormal teams start taking on demonic cases and they're not trained to take on the cases.
Well, I think I think that all of these shows, it's a double-edged sword. It's kind of raised awareness a little bit. However, it's got everybody and their dog with a group now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's shooting a pilot.
Yeah.
And there is a whole slew of people keep thinking that we've reached the pinnacle in parareality TV.
Oh no!
And there's a whole slew of more paranormal reality shows coming.
It's pop culture. It's taken over.
Because it's cheap. It's very cheap to film. A lot of people think Zach and all those guys are getting rich. The only person over there that's getting rich is Zach. None of the others are getting rich. So it's very cheap to film. It's very quick to film. You can do a full season in less than 60 days, and it's a reality show. So that means that it's not SAG, so you don't have to pay SAG wages and things like that. You don't have to work under SAG rules. So it's a very cheap form of entertainment for like sci-fi and the cable shows. You see, there's never been a network paranormal show.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, I worked on one that was a pilot, but it never got picked up because I just don't think the networks would put up with, the fakery that goes on a lot of these shows.
They need to do a demonology show in a prison.
Yeah.
Because, in a prison's got to be chock full of demons.
Yeah.
And there was a paranormal reality show that was supposed to come out called the Exorcist Files with Adam Bly, and I think that show got off to the wrong start when the producer came out and said that the Vatican was behind the show, and the Vatican was giving them the full support and was sending priests and opening up their library to them. And somebody happened to ask the Vatican, and the Vatican goes, "We've never heard of this show."
Yeah, you've got just as much
fact checking might.
You've got just as much chance
that
of
just
the
shut the
government
credibility of that
disclosing.
show out the window. And then there was one thing called the Exorcist File, or the Demon Exorcist, and I never did understand that title, but it only aired the pilot and it never showed anything after that. Because the title doesn't make any sense. What's a demon exorcist?
Yeah, what do you go to demons and say, "Are you plagued by demons?"
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the title didn't make any sense.
I cast out demons from demons.
So that's my two books: is Paranormal Reality, Investigating Paranormal State, and Paranormal Teachings, The Best of Shedding Some Light, and The Eye in the Paranormal. Both of those are e-books, which means that you can get them through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords. I had a very good editor on both books by the name of Lisa Maliga. She's a great writer on her own part. She has about 10 novels out there and 3 works of nonfiction, and she's constantly putting out new books, so people ought to read her stuff as well. And then I'm currently working on a book on demonology, and it's a book that's meant to discourage people from becoming demonologists. And the first third of the book is going to be okay. If you're going to be a demonologist, I really don't want you to be, and I'm going to give you all the reasons why not to. But if you get through the first third and you still want to do it, well, I'm going to try to teach you the best that I can that you won't be making mistakes that will hurt you, your family, or your clients.
Now, I should have asked you this at the very beginning, but you got interested in all this from something that happened to you as a child.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I saw dead people. I don't want to sound like the Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I was a little child, I saw dead people, and now none of the adults around me saw these people, but I saw these people, and these people talked to me, and I talked to them, and it seemed to be a very nice thing. And a lot of times these were dead relatives or people that were wanting to communicate with the living relatives, and they couldn't find them, or the living relative wouldn't listen to them. So I would talk to them, but it just seemed like every so often there was an entity or a presence that come along that was less than friendly. And I didn't know, because I'm a little kid, so how am I supposed to know about the exorcist and all that business?
Sure.
And it wasn't even out then. So the only way I ever knew how to get rid of them, I'd always think, God, get away from me. And when I would use the term, God, get away from me, the spirit would walk away. And I would always feel like that I was supposed to be doing something with this, and I never knew what to do. And so I went to work for Lester Summerall, which was a TV minister. He's passed away, and he had a really deep knowledge of demonology and demons, and we used to talk about it, and he used to try to convince me to become a minister, because he said, I think you have a calling to work at this, and you ought to go ahead and work at it. And I go, no, Lester, I go, I just don't think I'd make a good minister, because at some point I'm going to cuss somebody out, and I'm going to be gone. So I just don't think I'm cut out to be a minister. So I traveled to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually, and I became involved in a lot of the deliverance ministries. But again, I just couldn't feel comfortable with the teachings there in Tulsa, because it seemed like it was very exclusive, and it wanted to exclude a lot of people and a lot of the gifts that I seemed to have and other people seemed to have. So I tried to work in the New Age movement. I did tarot card readings, I did channeling and different things like that, and it just left me cold. It was just like, there's something more than I'm supposed to be doing. So I travel out to L.A. in the mid to late 80s, and I meet Dr. Gene Scott. I don't know if you guys remember Dr. Gene Scott. He used to be the minister that would sit on TV late at night smoking a cigar.
Oh, yeah.
You remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was very close to Ed Warren, and he liked Ed, and he had a really deep interest in demonology, and I met him, and we had some really intense conversations. So I figured, here I'm in L.A., well, I can do psychic readings, and if you're a good psychic in L.A., you can make a pretty good living.
Sure.
So I started to put ads in newspapers in L.A. about doing psychic readings. Well, phone would ring, I'd pick it up, and somebody would say, I'm not interested in a reading, but I have something in my house that it seems like it's menacing. Can you come and help me with it? Well, it wasn't a reading, but it was people asking for spiritual help. So I went and I, got rid of it for them, and then next day would come, okay, the phone rings, it's somebody asking for a reading. And I pick it up, and the person would go, well, I have an uncle, and it just seems like he's not the person that he used to be. Can you come and talk to him? Because I tried to talk to my priest about demon activity, and the priest just didn't want to talk about it. So I just became involved in the field in a backward sort of way, because I was originally intending to do readings.
Well, you didn't find a conflict between your Christian beliefs and doing readings?
Okay, now I do say this: the two biggest errors that I made in my life is, one, I should never ever have charged to do readings.
Oh.
I have become a believer now in that I don't believe a psychic should charge to do readings.
Oh.
I think it's fine to do readings as long as the psychic is rooted in a strong spiritual foundation of love and light and compassion, and that they're legitimate, and that they know how to test spirits. So when a spirit of Uncle Henry comes, that's really Uncle Henry that's coming, and not something pretending to be Uncle Henry. I should never have charged to do readings, and to this day I regret doing that. And the second thing is, I should have became an ordained minister, and I never did. And I'm not talking about one of those things that you can get through the mail.
I was going to say, it's not too late. Those are no good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too late.
For 1995.
But I will say this, because people do bring that, and that's a good question about, the Bible does have condemnations about, psychics and things like that. First of all, if you look at the first set of condemnations, that is directed towards the Jewish people in the Old Testament, which is basically what God is saying is, you got me, you got the Ark of the Covenant leading you guys all the way through the desert. That's a direct communication between man and God. Why the heck do you got to go to a third party to talk to the spirits? If you want to talk to spirits, come and talk to me, and we'll talk to the spirits. And now if you jump to the New Testament, the condemnation towards psychics it's almost like the story about Paul and encountering the guy that was a sorcerer, and he had a demonically possessed girl that was following him, and she would follow Paul and announce that Paul was a teacher of God and finally God. And Paul turns on the girl and says, look, I cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ, and they put him in prison because he cast the demon out of the girl. A lot of psychics that are out there.
Do you know why?
Do
you know why he got cast in prison for that?
Because he took away the people making money.
Yeah, because the girl was walking around telling the men that were hiring her how to make money by using demons, and so when Paul cast the demon out, they're like, "Hey, we're not making any more money off this chick anymore."
Money away from me.
Paul goes to prison. Wow.
No, go ahead.
No, Paul goes to prison, and they whip him for it, for making them lose money. But that led me to the question, though, that how is it that these demons know the future? How can they know the future?
They have a gift, and a lot of times when we say they know to the future, my come back to that is always, do they know to the future, or do they know how to make the future?
Oh,
so
wow.
Like when that demon tells you Uncle Henry's going to die falling off of a ladder on Saturday, April the 18th, and April the 18th comes along, Uncle Henry climbs that ladder, does the demon make that ladder shake, or does that demon make that ring at the top of the ladder slippery, so when Henry puts his hand on there, it slips and he falls and dies? So did the demon know the future, or did the demon know how to make the future happen?
Interesting.
Wow.
Now, also a sign of demonic possession is is what is called special knowledge, which is knowledge that a person has about you or situations that they should not have any knowledge of. Because, when you walk into a room and there's a 5-year-old kid sitting there and he starts speaking perfect French, you're you're dealing with something that's not. Which takes me back to the other two movies that we got talking about, The Exorcist, and we got on another subject. The other great film that I think is out there is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I think that is an absolute wonderful portrayal. It's actually based on a real case, except it wasn't in America. It was in Europe. And I think that's a wonderful portrayal. And then there's a great German film called Requiem.
Requiem. I've heard of that.
And it is about a girl that becomes demonically possessed. And it's a lot like Emily Rose, but it's set in Germany, and it has a little bit more of a spiritual foundation to it. So those are three great films. If you want to see really good films about exorcisms and things that are close to the way they really are, those are three really good films to watch.
Great.
Good.
Awesome.
All right.
Hey, Kirby, it's been great talking to you.
Wow, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Boy, we're going.
We want to reserve the right to do it again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Just call. And like I said, hopefully my demonology book will be out probably early in 2012.
Okay.
Well, let's definitely talk to you about that.
Yeah.
And we'll be live
I
then.
enjoy talking to you guys. And if any of your listeners want to get a hold of me, I can be reached at Facebook. I have a Facebook page. Give me 24 to 48 hours to respond to you. You can also reach me through my Eye on the Paranormal on Blogspot. And if you want to email me personally, you can email me at freeallspirits@live.com.
Cool.
And that's probably the best direct way to reach me, and I check that one constantly every day.
We'll try to get links on our site to all your stuff, too.
Yes.
So.
Gosh, this has been great.
Great. Yeah, I absolutely appreciate you being on.
And I just know next time I talk to you guys, don't talk about the Mormon Church.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because we'll get cut off.
Bad things happen.
Yeah. Definitely get a hold of us when your next book comes out, and we'll get you back on.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
All right.
We'll be right back with more Truth Theorem Radio.
Truth Theorem Radio. Are you still hiding there in the darkness? It is time now for you to go. Go to truththeoremradio.com. Go now, or be condemned to the darkness forever. Wait, what? Is this right? Dark. It is? Call my mom. I gotta go.
And what the hell is that smell? I could have been at a barbecue!
This is so nuts. I mean, listen to what you're saying. It's paranoid delusion. It's really sad.
And we are back.
Wow. Hey, that was a cool interview.
I really like talking to him.
I didn't want to stop talking to him.
I know. That was the longest interview we've ever done, I think.
That's why I asked him. We got to talk to you again later more.
Yeah. He's one of those you could probably do 3 or 4 interviews with.
Because I never, in this kind of a show, we don't have the time to hear an individual story and have him get down to the juicy details of what happened. Because I want to hear details. I like the details.
You got to read the book, man.
That's yeah. You got to read the book.
And the other
I'm
book.
noticing a trend. Have you noticed this trend of the
have to
authors that
read
we
the book.
interview? That when we ask them details, they're like, "Yes," and then I went to their house, and then we read the book. It's in chapter 5, page 53. You will find the answers to all your questions.
Oh.
Wait! This is a radio show. We want to hear the answers.
It's
No,
funny
but
because
come on.
some of those things are like, okay, the secret is on page 4 of whatever, and,
Yeah.
and you get there in the book, and it's like, okay, the real secret is it's kind of this, but the real thing is on page 157, and 157 is you've got to buy my next book.
There
to
you
find
go.
out the-
It's a they do that, but they go, it's a trilogy. Oh no! You took one book and split it up, and now it's a trilogy. Wow, that's good.
No, that's awesome. I'm excited to read his books. I'm definitely going to go get them.
Oh,
On
absolutely.
the ebooks. Yeah.
I just really enjoyed talking to him because he was very easy to speak to, and he was a very giving person.
Yes.
I was like really happy to speak.
Yeah,
to him.
he didn't really fall into that last category we talked about. I don't feel.
No.
No, not at all. We found him very credible. In fact, my expectations were sort of kind of median in this when I came into this, and man, now I have a whole different outlook on this guy. He is a lot more thorough and a lot more credible than I ever thought he was going to be.
Yes,
really,
definitely.
yeah, and
so you know what? To me, what it is that seals it for him is his attitude about the he does not go into a case that can't be solved.
Yeah,
He doesn't leave it till it is.
Well, there's got to be a solution to any problem. You just gotta. There's those who give up, and there's those who persevere.
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody who's a faker or he's like pulling somebody's leg or something who can give that kind of guarantee. If I'm coming to your house and you say you have a demon and I feel the demon, by the time I leave, it will be gone.
Yeah.
A demon. Did I do the D again?
You did.
It's all right.
Mrs. Schmidt? Mrs. Schmidt from 3rd grade? This is all your fault. All your fault. If you're still alive.
It's okay.
She said it was demon. She taught you?
No, but she didn't correct me.
Oh.
The other teachers took me out of the hall and whipped my butt with a paddle when it was still legal. Now that's child abuse, but back in the day, that was like totally legal.
Oh, that boy just stupid. We'll just let him by.
Yeah, have you ever heard the horror stories of teachers smacking kids on the fingers with rulers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's not this is reality.
Is that what happened to you?
No, in my class, they would take you out in the hallway if you were not compliant.
There was a teacher I had, Mr. Samita, and we always called it the Samita hold. If you were talking, I don't know how he did it.
A hold?
Oh, yes, he would. You'd never know he was behind you, but all of a sudden, your whole right arm would just go dead because he like the Spock hold.
Oh, wow.
Bam! It's like, and then you didn't talk for the rest of the class.
See?
Wow.
Just
Just
get away
whimpered.
with that kind of stuff. I had teachers, this is no joke. I'm talking about in the mid-1970s, probably 74, 75. I had 3 or 4 of my teachers in grade school, like 7th grade, that had paddles in either the desk drawer or hanging on their wall that had their name on it with holes drilled in it, a wooden paddle.
My dad had this thing hanging up called the shillelagh, is what he called it. And, yeah, it was pretty nasty. He never used it, although I did have a whole bunch of wooden spoons broken on my butt.
My parents had a cowboy belt that had no buckle, and it hung on a special hook in their closet. And when it was time, which in my case was quite often, go get the belt. It was just called the belt. And you knew which one.
thing.
My stepfather had like 10 dozen belts. But when he said
this
go
is
get
the belt,
the belt,
you knew you were in some trouble.
Exactly. And you had to go fetch it and hand it to them.
What? Oh, I couldn't find it. It's not there.
There's some psychological trauma in that. You go into a closet and fetch a belt and hand it to your parent. And go here, beat me.
No wonder our kids nowadays talk back to us because
we don't have a belt.
So
we don't have the belt.
No, we don't have anything. But I'm taking away your iPod, your cell phone, and I'm taking away your car keys.
Oh, and you're the worst parent in the
That's
world.
it. You might as well have got the belt and put.
And you know what the
spikes
kids
on
do
it.
then? They hold them in their hands and they go, "Really? Take it from me."
Oh, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Not my kid.
Because what could you do? I'm going to wrestle you to the ground. Touch me. Go ahead. 911. Oh, my parent touched me. Grab my arm. I have a bruise.
My boy played that on me once. He says, I'll just turn you in for child abuse. And I says, well,
oh no,
I guess I'll better make it so you can't speak. Huh?
My dad. Oh, man. I'm sorry, son. I can't take your case. I don't understand what you're saying. Moving to the next case.
You know what I did find interesting about what Kirby had to say is at the very beginning he was talking about how it's a faith-based thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I found that very interesting. Where not necessarily the Christians don't necessarily have the whole market on exorcisms.
They haven't cornered the market on exorcisms.
The Jews have to use their thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Muslims use their thing.
Is there religious copyright?
It should be. In a way, like you said at the beginning of the conversation.
That's our belief. You can't steal our belief.
No, there is. He even said.
Exactly, because he wanted to use the short rite or the long rite, and these are Catholic rites, and he's not a Catholic. And he didn't feel like he could use the long rite because he's not a Catholic priest, and it's supposed to be used by a Catholic priest. And I found that interesting because he does accept Buddhists and Muslims and Hebrews using their rites to cast out demons, and that he does accept that they do have the ability to do so. And that's what I'm still a little confused about. I don't know if I finally got any satisfaction on that question.
No, I agree.
How is that possible? Because he seemed extremely adamant that it was the power of Christ that he was using to cast out these demons.
I think where it lies is the belief of the individual who's plagued by this demon.
I see.
So it is a faith-based thing.
Well, it is, yes, because you have to believe in your salvation, and if you don't,
but
then
doesn't
you're
that
not
just
going to
point
be
to something
salvaged.
psychological?
Yeah.
Well, when people have near-death experiences, I'm only assuming this because I can't say I know this for a fact, but I'm assuming that Muslims and Buddhists don't see Jesus when they have their near-death experience.
I've heard different.
Did they do?
I've heard Buddhists do see Jesus.
They see Jesus. Okay, then there I am. I'm shot out of the water once again.
All right. Chalk another one up on the truth train right
the
there.
Truth train. See, we have no egos here.
Yeah.
So we're allowed to, make mistakes and be shot down by some of us who have larger egos.
And we could
I'm just saying, whatever.
And we could be absolutely full of crap, too.
Yes. And we reserve the right to be full.
Especially Warren. But moving on.
Moving on, Warren.
I
keeping
do
it
reserve
fresh,
that right.
keeping it live, keeping it
I
real.
do reserve that right.
You reserve the right to be.
I don't know it all. That's why I'm here.
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
even know a quarter of it.
That is the essence of Truth Theorem Radio. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
And didn't that seem to be where we get the more questions get answered, the more we ask,
the more questions
less we know. And
since we started this project, Truth Theorem Radio, I have learned more about ghost hunting and aliens and demons than I had ever imagined that I would ever know.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what the whole concept was about. How can we learn more?
I think for most of my life, I was a lights out, parties over type of guy, and then, just several years ago, I kind of got my eyes open to all these other possibilities. And before that, I really was in the mindset that I really knew it all pretty much. I had a really good handle on, things were pretty cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
We were here, we lived, we exist, we die, it's done. Pretty simple, right?
Very clean.
And now that I've kind of opened my eyes to some of these other things and looked into all these other, and I've extensively researched every facet of, to the point of fanaticism almost. But now I know a lot more than I did back before I started, yet I know I don't know anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And it's weird to go from that point of knowing, having your feet planted firmly here, knowing what you're, and going to, holy crap, I don't even know.
Yeah.
What am I here for? What are we here for? What are we supposed to be doing? Is there a point? What do we do after this? Is there an after this? I don't know. There's just so many more questions.
Exactly right. Before we talked to Kirby, I thought, well, this is going to be good because I'm going to ask him all these questions. He's going to answer all these things for me. And now that we're done talking to him, I'm like, oh my gosh,
we could do another 4-hour interview with him. Yeah.
I need like 5 more experts to chime in on their view so I can get some kind of middle ground. Because I
and then
really
you're still
like,
not going to know. You're going to have more questions.
There you go. So it's like a never-ending search, but I'm really enjoying the search.
And we're happy to share this with our listeners, too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we know our listeners are kind of in the same boat, too. You know?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
We hope so. And, shout out, please. Let us know.
Share your experiences with us.
We need some feedback.
Sure. And give us feedback on the show, yeah.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. So next time here on Truth Theorem Radio, we have Scarlet Ray.
Yes.
She's kind of, I think she's
an empath, right?
Empathic, yeah.
Yes.
Clairvoyant relationship specialist and psychic specialist and all this kind of stuff. So it'll be kind of interesting.
And
change of pace.
I am a little empathic myself.
I am too, a little bit, I think
so, too. And we had an opportunity just to speak to her just briefly. And I got the warm fuzzies all over.
Oh yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah, I did.
She speaks I'm 4 languages or something. Yeah, it's
smart people.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, people.
Too much pressure.
I know. Can we get some high school dropouts who've had some experiences that we could use? I'm really tired of these. 5 languages, PhD.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get a dumb guy next time. Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
All right, well, that wraps up a super spooky October.
Spooky October.
Oh, I've got chills.
I so enjoyed that.
The demon stuff was freaking me out,
and
man.
I got to tell you guys, man, after talking with Kirby and about demons and all that
What's
stuff.
wrong with you?
Yeah, why are you sweating?
I don't know. I don't feel so well.
You don't look
What's
so
wrong
well.
with your eyes?
I kind of
They're glowing
like red.
I'm feeling a little different.
That is freaking me
dude.
out.
Dude.
It feels
no.
kind of tickles.
What is
What are you
wrong with
laughing
him?
at? Hey, what's up?
Jason,
You're all pale.
He's freaking me out, Warren.
I think you guys better leave.
What?
Warren.
What's with your voice?
I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. What is going on with him?
Run!
Oh my God.